All right, so today we're going to do something a little different. We're actually going to step inside a personal journal entry, a really profound reflection on what it means to find joy. And we're going to explore this idea that maybe joy isn't something we have to chase down or manufacture, but maybe it's more like a river current that we can learn to enter, a state of being we can simply learn to receive.
So our journey starts right here, in a place the writer calls the Joy Room, and the first line just pulls you in. Tonight, the Joy Room felt like a sunrise inside my chest. Just try to picture that. Walls shimmering with this warm yellow light, almost like honey dripping down the windows. It's a space that's all about stillness and warmth, a place designed to teach a totally new way of experiencing joy.
Now, the journal talks about 4 corners in this room, and each one has a specific purpose, but we're going to focus on the very first one, because this is the corner where the writer is learning this huge lesson, to let God delight in him before he even tries to delight in anything else. You see the shift? The goal is to stop trying to force joy, to manufacture it, and instead to just receive it. It's a massive change in perspective.
And here's where this whole spiritual idea gets really practical and connects with psychology. The journal points out this is a place to receive joy, especially when your nervous system forgets how to be calm. You know that feeling, right? This isn't about ignoring what your body is doing. It's about finding a deeper connection that can actually hold you, even when you feel totally anxious or dysregulated. And that idea leads us to this incredible metaphor that's really at the heart of the whole journal entry, the river of integration. It's such a powerful image, inspired by the work of Dr. Dan Siegel, that helps you visualize where real well-being, where real joy actually lives. And it's not some static place, but a dynamic, moving flow. So picture this river. It has 2 banks, and these banks are what keep us out of the water. On one side, you've got rigidity. That's the voice that says, I have to control everything, the constant pressure to perform and get it all perfect. And on the other side, chaos. That's the feeling of being completely swamped, overwhelmed, where your emotions just feel like way too much. Sound familiar? Yeah, most of us live our lives ping-ponging between these 2 banks.
And this visual just nails it. Real joy isn't found on the bank of perfect, rigid control, and it's not on the bank of overwhelming chaos either. It's in the middle current. It's not about having no problems, and it's not about having perfect order. It's that space of integration, of being present and connected, right in the middle of all of life's messes. It's where your body, your mind, and your spirit finally get on the same page.
Which brings us to this core definition that's whispered in the Joy Room. Joy is the coherence of your whole being resting in my delight. Coherence, that's the word right there. It's about alignment. It's about all the different parts of you finally working together in harmony, being held in a state of acceptance and love. Okay, so stick with me, because the journal then takes this river metaphor and deepens it, shifting the scene to an ancient, dusty road, the road to Emmaus from the biblical story. And here we find 2 disciples, just walking, completely crushed by disappointment and fear.
And would you look at this? It is the exact same 2 banks. On the side of rigidity, they had this fixed, perfect idea. We thought he was the one. But when that expectation was totally shattered, they got thrown clear over to the other bank, into chaos, but everything has fallen apart. They were completely fragmented, totally disconnected from themselves and from each other.
Now this is fascinating. Get this. Their bodies were actually sending them a signal. The story says their hearts burned within them as they walked with a stranger. But because they were so stuck in that state of chaos and grief, they got the signal all wrong. They labeled that fire in their chests not as hope, not as recognition, but as more grief, more danger. It was only when that connection was made, when they finally recognized Jesus, that their minds, spirits, and bodies all clicked back into alignment. And that's when joy ignited. And this is where the whole lesson just comes right home, to a place that's so personal and relatable. The author starts talking about his own conversations about anxiety, sharing how even really exciting things can sometimes feel exactly the same as fear. You know, that tight stomach, that racing chest.
And he asked this question that is just so vulnerable, one I think so many of us have felt. He asks, so the tightness isn't failure. It just perfectly captures that deep fear that the anxiety in our own body is a sign that we're doing something wrong, that we've somehow failed at being calm or failed at being joyful.
And the response he gets is so gentle, and it completely reframes everything. No, sometimes it is simply your nervous system asking for companionship, not correction, just presence. I mean, what if anxiety wasn't some moral failing? What if it's just a signal?
a biological request from our body saying, hey, don't leave me alone in this.
And this right here is the essential takeaway. Your body gives you data, not directions. That knot in your stomach, that tightness in your chest, it's just information. It is not a final verdict on who you are or what your spiritual state is. It's just a signal, a call to move toward connection, not toward trying to perfect yourself.
Which brings us right to the ultimate lesson from this whole journey. Joy isn't something you achieve by yourself in a quiet room after you've fixed all your problems. No, it's found in shared presence, right in the middle of, well, everything.
So let's just walk through what this really means. First, joy is found through connection, not by trying to force yourself to be happy. Second, it's about learning how to stay in that middle current, navigating between that rigid control and that overwhelming chaos. It's the integration of your whole self, your spirit, mind, and body, all aligned. It's also about realizing that what you feel in your body isn't good or bad, and that connection can help us interpret those signals as excitement instead of fear. And finally, it means joy is a relational energy. It's not a perfect, isolated state of being.
And we'll end with this final, powerful thought from the journal. Let me turn anxiety into anticipation. Let me turn pressure into presence. This is joy. It's this beautiful invitation to see our own inner world not as something to be conquered, but as something to be companioned. It suggests that maybe, just maybe, joy isn't the destination at the end of the struggle, but the fellow traveler who walks with us right in the middle of it. And honestly, that might be the most hopeful thought of all.